Hey, glad to see you here again for more retrospective. But first, I want to go back. I mentioned at the start that I kind of started with a terrible microphone. At some point in here, I did upgrade to a better headset. And then around Brave Fencer Musashi, someone commented that my audio wasn't great still. I believe that is where I finally got that microphone that I just held up. A real desk-sitting microphone. I guess one other thing to point out about the past is I think it wasn't a conscious decision until maybe Fortune Summoners, but I always kept one LP going with a female protagonist. Just, I don't know, an arbitrary thing. I feel like some amount of balance in protagonists is appropriate. I don't know. Support diversity. I sort of cheated a little with Super Meat Boy. I played only as Nyjah. I didn't actually do every level. I believe I did every level that's possible as Nyjah, unless there are some really weird tricks to beat the ones that I couldn't, or maybe just really precise movements. I think the character is cool. Apparently they're used a lot in 100% speedruns. Or 106%, because who actually goes to 100% in this day and age? My friend TurboTales98, I mentioned him last episode. I believe he played the Xbox version, so he'd never even seen Nyjah. But she's quite the character. Also, I believe the same week I started my Aquaria LP, which she's actually from. This was not a blind LP. I don't know how I'm doing on blind versus not blind by this point. I think it was quite the mix. I think I'm actually more blind by this point than not blind. Anyway, moving on. My last GameCube LP ever, and also non-played on the computer LP, was Phantasy Star Online Episode 3 Card Revolution. I don't think that game's too interesting to watch. Not gonna lie. But, I finished things. I did stop after only one story. I didn't do both stories and then the true ending. I didn't think it was worth it. But credits rolled. I'm counting it. It's done. We're not going back. Maybe if no. I was gonna say maybe if 3 people requested it or something. But at the same time, I would need to buy capture hardware. I feel like I've said to 3 different people recently that there are so many things on the PC that I want to LP that it's just really hard to justify getting capture hardware again, actually getting quality stuff. I don't know. Because any LP prevents another LP. Sometimes prevents more than one. If I were to do Racketeer again, I keep thinking about it because I don't like the quality of the original LP. But, I don't want to spend 84 videos on it again. I guess it would be less because I can record past 15 minutes now. But still. Let's see. And moving on to Off. I think it was my first, fully just turn-based RPG. I knew it was short. This wasn't a blind LP. I'd done Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, but that's kind of a hybrid action RPG a little. Off is just strictly a turn-based RPG. It's a pretty cool game. Would recommend playing through it or watching the LP. Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams, pretty good platformer. I think it was a blind LP. You kind of switch back and forth between 2 realities depending on which character you're controlling at the time, and they have different skills. I guess they're actually the same person, but a split personality or something. I don't know. I think you're inside her mind and you're looking to rescue some other aspect of her personality. I don't know. The plot doesn't make sense, but it's pretty good platforming action. Makes good use of the powers and the reality twisting. So moving on, I did a cooperative LP of the multiplayer part of Portal 2, much later than my original Portal 2 LP, with Lemon Curd Addict 1234. It was kind of funny though, because due to his recording setup, he couldn't keep a video or an audio call going while he was recording. So we each did separate commentary on the LP completely. I think mine stayed more focused on the game, and he liked to talk about like current things. Like at one point he starts talking about E3. I know there's one great moment where if you're watching his video, he finally turns his attention to the puzzle, and I'm just walking through the exit door because the rest of the puzzle could be finished by one person by where he stopped focusing on it. Pretty good. I would not recommend watching the first episode on his channel because I needed to verify the integrity of my game cache. The first episode, mine just kept crashing all over the place. I edited out the parts where we didn't have gameplay. He left everything in while I was restarting my game. Let's see, moving on, Dust and Elysian Tale. It was an alright action RPG. I had played it before. I think it's not really a Metroidvania. You get like 2 new powers over the course of the game. Maybe more than that. Let's see, there's the wall climb, the air dash thing, I think. Or it's like an air attack. I don't know. Anyway, it has a larger focus on its combat and RPG elements than its exploration elements. I think the stages are largely linear, but I had fun. I think it was my second playthrough of the game. I believe I had gone for a strength build my first time, and I went for a magic build this time. I would actually later do that with I'll just skip ahead, Valda's story at Abyssal City. Except this game, I feel like it like really punishes first time playthroughs due to a variety of systems in the game, like how much bonus EXP and also bonus permanent stats you get from getting good ranks on bosses. Also, if you distribute your character points across the stats, your build will usually be terrible, unless you really know what you're doing. Like, you either get int, or you get stats that aren't int. You don't hybrid strength, agility, intelligence. What's funny is Raukau started an LP of this just like a week or two after me, and he ran into exactly the problems that I avoided, I believe. My first playthrough was definitely kind of awful. I only got strength. And I don't think that build is terrible. I think some agility would have been appropriate. But also, like, I did awful against the poison boss. I kept, like, getting murdered by when he did his poison rain, because, like, he sends a bunch of bubbles up, and then they rain down, and if you're above him when he sends the bubbles up, you just die. Or I think they might have patched in, like, more invincibility frames when you get hit by that or something. I don't remember getting murdered by it as much. But anyway, that's not even in the LP, because it's when I wasn't recording the game. Going back up, Sanctum 2 with Bertrudor. My first co-op LP that actually had cooperative commentary. It's a tower defense game, but I had fun playing it. I believe I also enjoyed watching his perspective. I don't remember if I rewatched every video, but I don't know. I mean, it also has first-person shooter elements to it. They're kind of build phases, and then when the enemies are actually coming, you shoot them, and you also try not to die personally. Let's see, Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hand. It's I guess it's an action RPG. It has heavy stealth elements, and also it's the famous Sun Sensor game. Since I was playing on an emulator, I did there's a patch that lets you hold a button and use the control pad to set the sun level. But I did actually try to demonstrate that you don't need sun that often. You need it like between levels and to finish off bosses, pretty much. Especially once you get the second battery. I have played through this game on actual hardware, just not recorded, because I don't have a means to record a Game Boy Advance. But yeah, this was not a blind LP, of course, because I just mentioned I've played through on actual hardware. But yeah, I enjoy it. Missplosion Man, it's a puzzle platformer. It's kind of silly. I liked it. Not much else to say. All your buttons are splode. I think it has a stronger emphasis on platforming elements than puzzle elements, I'll say. There are just a few parts where it's kind of weird how you get through and it feels puzzly. ActRaiser 2, requested by Birchroar. This game is hard and some of the mechanics are a little frustrating. I think there was something weird about the glide state or something. I don't remember exactly why I didn't think this game was that good, but I didn't think it was that good. I made it through mostly legitimate, but I took some checkpoints with save states where there weren't really checkpoints, or because I didn't want to have to restart the whole stage every time I game overed, so it was to have an infinite lives cheat. But I think he enjoyed the LP. I think the LP did come out all right. Yeah, and the checkpoints I believe were mostly at like boss rooms, maybe like once or twice between a screen transition. Mirror's Edge. I played Mirror's Edge. Everybody knows Mirror's Edge, right? I found the combat segments sometimes frustrating, but the running was fun. Valda Story I already talked about. Teslagrad, it's another puzzle platformer, but definitely more puzzly than I think any game I'd played up to this. Oh wait, I'd play Portal, or Portal 2. Besides Portal 2, it's definitely more puzzly than anything I had played up to this point. Yeah, I stand by that. I think it was a lot of fun. Lots of things I hadn't really seen before in a puzzle platformer. Because it's a lot of like momentum-based stuff and changing polarity of electromagnetic stuff, and yeah. Changing polarity of yourself once you get the cape. Fun times. Boktai 2, it's basically a repeat of Boktai, but instead of a gun, you have melee weapons. And it has a stronger focus on RPG elements and a more limited inventory size, which I think was a positive change, because you could tank everything with like 80 apples at the end of Boktai the Sun is in your hand. Let's see, Boktai 2 I think also had a stronger focus on block puzzles, and I think its block puzzles were notably good, especially because it had like a variety of block types. Like there are the ice blocks, the stone blocks, these weird elemental blocks that react differently depending on what element attack you hit them with. I feel like there might have been one other block type, but I don't remember it. Anyway, would recommend the playthrough. Freedom Planet, I believe this started out as a Sonic fan game or something, or at least uses a Sonic fan game engine. It feels a lot like Sonic. I played it before a patch that reduced the number of cutscenes between stages 1 and 2. But it was after a patch that reduced the difficulty of the final boss. Or maybe it wasn't the final boss. It was something in the final area. I actually did beat the game on the original patch, or not original, but original difficulty final boss before I recorded this LP, so this was not a blind LP. But I think the game's good. I think everything I played that was not a blind LP, it's because I think the game is good. I think in one case, I turned out to be wrong about that, but I at least started thinking the game was good. So I guess I kind of recommend all my non-blind LPs. I recommend a number of my blind LPs too, though, like Transistor. It's a fairly unique sort of turn-based RPG. Has great customization in it. I went for a totally different skill build than some of my friends did. I really focused on, I think, the dash power. I think dash is amazing. Child of Light. I once again sort of like dipped my toes into turn-based RPGs. It's a short one. It was not a blind LP, so I knew it was short. It does interesting things with the active time bar. I think I really exploited it well, and I kind of like hurried through the game and tried to not level up so that it would stay interesting. Kind of a big problem I have with the RPG genre as a whole is that you can sort of accidentally make the game boring if you level up too much. But I believe I avoided that here. I think it's cool. The art style is pretty good. I guess I should actually say what the interesting thing about the active time bar is. After you input a command, or after your enemies input a command, there's sort of a period where you can hit them and they'll be knocked back, and they'll have to wait for their turn to come up again. And so, of course, there are like commands like defend are faster to execute. So if you think you're going to be hit, you can defend, or you can go for a slow attack if the enemy doesn't have their turn coming up. It makes the fights feel a lot more dynamic than just attacking and healing, like in a lot of other RPGs. Mark of the Ninja, I think it's possibly the best 2D stealth game ever made. Although I have not played most 2D stealth games ever made. But yeah, this was, again, not a blind LP. And I don't have much more to say about it. The Momodora series, I put them all in one playlist, so I listed them all together here. I think I played 1 through 3 like back to back, and they're all short. And then I played Reverie Under the Moonlight a bit after that came out. So my start and end dates are a little weird here. Started in February 2015, ended in July 2016 for 16 videos. The hiatus is because the 4th game wasn't released yet. Let's see. There are a bunch of side-scrollers. A couple of them are more Metroidvania-y, and a couple are more linear. I mean, it wouldn't take long to watch just 1 or 2 of them if you want to get the idea. I had fun with them. Yeah, I believe 3 and 4 were both blind LPs. 1 and 2 were both, I'd played them before. Beyond Good and Evil, what do I want to say about this? It wasn't as good as I expected it to be, because I feel like everybody that knows the game thinks it's really good. I don't know, I thought it could have used more clarity on the stealth or something. Maybe more forgiveness. I felt like it needed something. I don't know. The plot's alright. And then it sets up a sequel that never came. Half Minute Hero. This, again, was not a blind LP. Beyond Good and Evil was a blind LP, by the way. Half Minute Hero, it's silly. The action is fast. You have 30 seconds. Save the world. I think I had a lot of fun with it, playing it again, and I think the LP turned out well. Flyin', sort of like Gianna Sisters. It's a platformer where you're switching between realities. I think Flyin' might be a little more artsy. The characters might be a little cuter. The action by the end of World 4 is still, like, great. I think the difficulty curves out well. I didn't put a lot of effort towards actually unlocking all the bonus levels. The bonus levels are, though, like, mostly, like, experimental things they didn't want to put in the main game. So a lot of the bonus levels, like, aren't good. I show a few of them. Let's see. I guess after that, or I guess in the middle of it, I did my 1,000 video celebration. It was shoot 'em up themed. I guess since it wasn't a playlist, I skipped over my 500 video celebration, which was Hitogata Hapa. In that one, instead of actually playing the game, I used pre-recorded gameplay, or rather, I used the game's replay system, and I just talked over the whole video about something. Quotes that meant something to me, I think it was. Or maybe it was just like general life advice that I liked. My 1000 video celebration, though, I made a whole playlist of shoot 'em up stuff that was actually played, well, not really live because I recorded it, but it wasn't things I had done before. Let's see. And then at the end, I did a Q&A video based on questions that were asked during the rest of the week. Yeah, I played the entire Gundamonium collection, which is a Gundeadline, Gundamonium Recollection, and Hitogata Hapa again. Then Solus, I think that's a kind of like artsy sort of shoot 'em up. It's about the stages of grief. I don't actually know if you can die in it. But I thought it was cool. I wanted to show it. Suguri and QP Shooting Dangerous are both games made by Orange Juice, or published by Orange Juice at least. So if you want to get all the 100% Orange Juice lore, definitely check those out. Warning Forever, it's a infinitely generated boss rush, where the boss is generated based on like what parts you targeted first of the previous boss, as well as like what weapons it hit you with. I think it's pretty cool. Jamestown, it's a silly alternative history of the colony of Jamestown in which aliens invaded and you fought them in a shoot 'em up style. Also, like a Spanish conquistador gets this super mega weapon somehow. It's silly, it's fun, it's a good shoot 'em up. And then I think of these, my only blind LP in the set was Panic Crisis Mage Attack. It gives you unlimited continues, and I needed all of them. The Lost Vikings. I believe Tarquin requested this, or possibly like I threw it out as an idea and maybe he voted on it. A similar thing happened with Sparkster, except I think in that case Bertrudor supported it. Or maybe they were both suggestions. But Lost Vikings, it's a great puzzle platformer in which you have 3 separate characters and you switch among them, and they actually have different positions in the level, unlike Trine. They all have their unique abilities. Like one blocks things, one attacks things, and one just has really good movement. Or rather, he jumps higher, I think. Because the one that blocks things can also glide. So in some situations, he has the best movement. But yeah, cool game. I enjoyed it. Sparkster, it's another just side-scrolling action game. I think it might also be called Sparkster Rocket Knight or something, or I don't know. I thought the game was good, except for one particular boss, which I believe everybody that has played Sparkster before and beaten it will know which boss I'm talking about. It's the one at the end of the shoot 'em up section. But I don't think that ruins the LP. Guruman, A Monstrous Adventure. Let's see. I guess it's an action RPG. It's 3D. It has sort of this rhythm mechanic for getting critical hits that beyond the first couple of layers of the game, I don't think I bothered with. Because, I don't know, I needed to focus on what I was actually doing, and it wasn't so big a benefit that it felt necessary all the time. Also, like, at the end, you needed to, like, do these side mini-games to get stuff that I think would probably lead towards some sort of true ending. I didn't bother, I just took the normal ending. I think the game was alright. If you're looking for LPs to skip, though, I'd probably skip it. East 3. This was requested by Tarquin. The game is not nearly as good as its remake, which I had already played in the past, but not recorded. I would actually later do a recorded LP of Ys Thioth and Felghana. But, Ys 3 is a side-scrolling action RPG. I don't have any specific reason why I think the game is bad. I just think it's bad. I guess it felt like your weapon didn't have enough reach to really fight enemies without running into them. Also, there were some silly things like saving your game and reloading in order to despawn enemies. Because you could save anywhere. I think they really expected you to make use of it because fighting enemies successfully was so hard. So you're mostly like grinding out attempts at fighting properly. Also, I think some of the bosses were just kind of like hilariously bad. I feel like one boss I just like stood in place and attacked upward or something. I don't know. I don't remember what the strategy was, but something about the Harpy boss was just like super exploitable. Not nearly as cool a fight as the Harpy boss in the remake, where there are like 3 Harpies that have different powers, and as you defeat one of them, like the others power up, and it's a really cool fight. Not so in the original. R-Type 3, the Third Lightning. I was foolish enough to play R-Type again. No, I'm being silly. I think it turned out well. Me playing another shoot 'em up. I like shoot 'em ups. It was fun. Assault Android Cactus. It's, I believe, the first twin-stick shooter I played on the channel. It was not blind, I think. Yeah, pretty sure it wasn't blind. Actually, I'm not sure. I've played it a lot since the LP. Yeah, I enjoy it. It has a lot of characters with different weapons to try out. You're destroying waves of bots. It doesn't have any sort of like... Well, it does have an unlimited mode, but not... It has a story, too. And all the levels are pre-planned, and they have cool stage gimmicks. Like, this stage will, like, morph where the walls are as you're playing, or, like, one level has these, like, turrets you can stand on to activate, and they shoot enemies for you, or... there's one level where, like, the floor lights up and then, like, ignites, and you have to make sure to not stand on the fire. Cool stuff. Let's see. Final Fantasy V Advance. The first, like, real full-length JRPG that I feel like I've done. I know there were, like, 3 LPs of RPGs before this, but this is really where I started regularly playing RPGs. I think since then I might have had an unbroken string of RPGs on my Monday, Thursday time slot. See, I enjoyed Final Fantasy V. I had played it before on the PlayStation version, and I thought the interaction between jobs and sub-abilities was really interesting. I don't know, I like the way your characters get new skills, and also, like, you build them into their roles, and based on what they've already mastered, they sort of become different characters, even though at the start they're pretty much all the same character. I think they have slightly different stat growths or something. Or maybe stat growth is determined entirely by your current job. I don't know, maybe they just have like small bonuses to various stats. I guess I'm running up on time, but Popful Mail, I don't think is a good game, largely due to the camera. I think if you could somehow zoom it out and also move the camera based on what way you're facing, instead of feeling like you need to go 2/3 of the way across the screen in order to physically push the camera, this would have been a decent game. It's notable for being an early game that had voice acting and programmatic lip syncing, so even on the English version, the lip sync works out. So it was technically impressive at the time. It has large sprites, which made me feel like they needed to zoom the camera out. I think, yeah, if you could see, though, I don't think the action is terrible. Could have maybe used some sort of like full heal and checkpoint in the final boss rush or something. I believe really late in the game. I used a couple save states. Oh, I wrote that in the notes. I didn't even look at it. Yeah. I say the game was bad in the notes. It wasn't terrible. Let's see, I guess, yeah, that'll be it for this part of the retrospective. We're halfway through. Actually, one thing I wanted to say before ending off, I missed saying it earlier, not just about Brave Fence and Musashi. I know I hit that one at the start of this episode. At some point in here, I think, Bertrador, who inspired me, actually started watching me. Of course, he requested Super R-Type, but I believe he was aware of me before that. It wasn't like I jumped into his comments and was like, I'll play Super R-Type. So that was neat, that he inspired me, and then he started watching me. I think the only way he became aware of me is I started commenting on his videos. And I guess he just followed the natural link back to see if I was doing videos, and he noticed I was. And he still watches me. Well, we're good friends. I'm also friends with Tofu Boy and Tarquin. We played video games last Saturday morning. Some Toy Box Turbos, which you can actually see on Tofu Boy's channel. And some 100% orange juice. So, yeah, that was neat. I've made friends through LPing. I actually kind of have more to say about the idea of companionship through LPing, but I think I'll save it for next time, where we'll also resume with Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. See ya!